Have y'all seen Ben Affleck? He was on Rogan talking about the rate of AI changing.
It kind of feels to me like there's a lot more fear because we have the sense this existential dread. It's going to wipe everything out.
Right.
But that actually runs counter, in my view, to what history seems to show, which is adoption is slow, it's incremental. I think a lot of that rhetoric comes from people who are trying to justify valuations around companies where they go, we're going to change everything. In 2 years, there's going to be no more work.
Right.
Well, the reason they're saying that is because they need to ascribe a valuation for investment that can warrant the CapEx spend they're going to make on these data centers with the argument that like, oh, you know, as soon as we do the next model, it's going to scale up, it can be 3 times as good. Except that actually ChatGPT 5 about 25% better than ChatGPT 4 and costs about 4 times as much in the way of electricity and data. So those, when they say that's like plateauing, the early AI, the line went up very steeply, and it's now sort of leveling off.
What is your theory on that, Maddie, being in the Bay?
I think that so far we've been really exploiting the scale of data and computation that we have. And when I say data, I really mean, you know, these companies and you know, many different entities in AI just like scraping anything they could find on the internet and using that in their training data. And they've mostly exhausted all the data that can be humanly found on the internet. The same thing happened with compute, right? So this talk about like GPUs and like chips and NVIDIA, like that's what they do. And they provide specialized chips for AI to be trained and run. And so maximizing that access also has yielded like a lot of improvements. But kind of is also maxed out at this point. So now you've sort of exhausted these 2 scales, and you can think about the third aspect, which is the architecture, the actual way we hook up these systems, and the actual way we code up these neural networks. We've been really capitalizing on this idea, it's called a transformer. That's been really critical for AI development over the last few years. So my answer is if we find ourselves 5 or 10 years from now still only using the transformer, I don't think we'll get much further, and I think in that case, he's right. But if we do, I think we could see pretty big improvements even in the next few years.
No such thing.